for the weekends, I can sleep, I don't know, more than 8 hours.
More than 8 hours. Okay, I think that's a fair number, right? From 7 to 8 hours, that's the thing that they advise. Many people say that 8 hours is the like ideal number, right? And this is my question here for you, Mariana, related to that. How important do you think is sleeping for one person?
Um, for me, I think that it's very important because I think that the body all of humans need a repose. It's like a reposo, I think, and also repose the brain, because the brain um, can work all the day.
Okay, all right, I agree with you. Perhaps instead of that word that we used at the beginning, instead of right, repose, we're going to use the word rest, right? So
Okay.
exactly, right? So people's body and people's brain, everybody needs to rest, right? A rest is very important to perhaps feel better, right? And in this video, we're going to watch this video. It says the benefits of a good night's sleep. We're going to see what are the benefits and what consequences, right, could be if we don't sleep that well. All right, so let's listen to this. Let's pay attention to everything we're able to understand, Mariana, and we're going to have conversations about it. Let's listen to it, please.
It's 4 a.m., and the big test is in 8 hours, followed by a piano recital. You've been studying and playing for days, but you still don't feel ready for either. So what can you do? Well, you can drink another cup of coffee and spend the next few hours cramming and practicing. But believe it or not, you might be better off closing the books, putting away the music, and going to sleep. Sleep occupies.
All right, so that was the introduction, Mariana. What were you able to understand about this introduction? What is this narrator talking about? Mariana, are you there? I think your microphone is off. Oh, all right.
Teacher?
Hello, Mariana. Are you there? I think you're having some problems with your internet, right?
Yes, teacher. Sorry, my internet has it's for.
Okay, don't worry. It's kind of not working. I'm going to try to play it again, Mariana. This time I'm going to turn on the captions. Let's try to listen to this again, and you're going to try to tell me everything that you were able to understand. All right?
Mhm.
Okay, good. This time it has captions.
It's 4 a.m., and the big test is in 8 hours, followed by a piano recital. You've been studying and playing for days, but you still don't feel ready for either. So what can you do? Well, you can drink another cup of coffee and spend the next few hours cramming and practicing. But believe it or not, you might be better off closing the books, putting away the music, and going to sleep.
All right. So that's the introduction, right? This time it had some captions. Tell me everything that you were able to understand, please, Maria.
Okay, teacher. It's a description that it's 4 a.m. and the test is in 8 hours. And followed, he or she have a piano recital,
Mhm.
and the video can say the video say that um, the person can be studying and playing for days, but he or she don't feel ready for either.
Mhm.
And the video say one question that is, what can he do? And he say that he can drink another cup of coffee and spend few hours cramming and practicing.
Yes, very well. And also another question, but what does the narrator say at the end, Mariana? Because you're doing it perfectly.
At the end, say that um, he or she will closing the books, putting music, maybe.
Okay, one more time, please. That last idea is not that clear, Mariana. What is the thing that we have at the end of this presentation? One more time, please.
Okay. I can understand that the person might be uh, closing the books and put music.
Okay, okay. So you have some idea there. Everything that you explained it was perfect. You have there, right? You have a situation in which a student, right, has been prepared himself or herself, right? And when you don't know what to say here, for example, there himself or herself, you can talk in plural and you can say themselves. All right,
Okay.
the student was preparing themselves, and that person, right, don't know, right, or doesn't know, you can say either you using plural or singular, what to do. If they should keep like studying or playing, right, because they don't feel ready, or they should stop doing that and going to sleep, right, because that's the final decision and you have that at the end. Let's play it one more time with captions.
Better off closing the books, putting away the music, and going to sleep.
Right? Putting away the music, it means stop studying, stop playing, and go to sleep. So, which one do you think is better? Of course, we know more or less, Mariana, but which one is better? To take a cup of coffee and continue studying and continue playing because you don't feel ready, or going to sleep? Which one do you think is the best option and why, Mariana?
Um, for me, is go to sleep because the brain of every person needs to descansar.
You can say rest, needs to rest.
Yeah. The brain of all people needs to rest, and also the body needs rest because all the day have functions that every people need to complete.
Okay, perfect, perfect, right? So the video goes towards that idea, right? What you're saying, Mariana, it goes perfectly. And I have one extra question for you. How often do you drink coffee, Mariana? And have you ever drank, let's say, all right? Have you ever drank coffee to stay awake?
Um, I don't drink coffee for stay awake, because I think that is very dangerous for the body because the coffee have a lot of caffeine,
Uh-huh.
caffeine,
Yes,
and
caffeine. You can say caffeine.
yes, and this is very dangerous for me. But also, I like very much coffee, but I can drink every other day, but this for personal gusto.
Okay, yes, for a personal taste, you can say. All
Yes,
right.
for personal taste.
Okay, good, Mariana. Let's try to watch one part and let's try to see what's the explanation that this person is going to give towards this answer or this question.
Sleep occupies nearly a third of our lives, but many of us give surprisingly little attention and care to it. This neglect is often the result of a major misunderstanding. Sleep isn't lost time, or just a way to rest when all our important work is done. Instead, it's a critical function during which your body balances and regulates its vital systems, affecting respiration and regulating everything from circulation to growth and immune response. That's great, but you can worry about all those things after this test, right? Well, not so fast. It turns out that sleep is also crucial for your brain, with a fifth of your body's circulatory blood being channeled to it as you drift off. And what goes on in your brain while you sleep is an intensely active period of restructuring that's crucial for how our memory works. At first,
All right, until that part. I know there's a lot of information over there, but what were you able to understand in this following part,
Okay, I can understand that um, the sleep is a very crucial for the brain because kin, 50 part of the blood can circulate about all the body and also can canalize maybe about the person can fall asleep, and this is what all can understand.
Perfect. Sorry, my microphone was off. Perfect, Mariana. I think you're doing a good job. We're going to see those details. One question over there, Mariana. Does sleeping, all right, or does sleep, let's say, help the memory?
Yes, teacher, I think that the sleep the sleep even uh, mejora, even
Abs-
improves
Okay, good.
the even improves the efficacy of the brain.
Okay, all right. Let's try to watch this again, and this time I'm going to turn on the captions. And also, you're going to tell me, Mariana, you were telling me like not percentage, but what part? If it's 50 or if it's one fifth, all right? What is the, let's say, part of the circulation, right? The blood circulation that we have in our brains, all right? So let's check that, please.
many of us give surprisingly little attention and care to it. This neglect is often the result of a major misunderstanding. Sleep isn't lost time, or just a way to rest when all our important work is done. Instead, it's a critical function during which your body balances and regulates its vital systems, affecting respiration and regulating everything from circulation to growth and immune response. That's great, but you can worry about all those things after this test, right? Well, not so fast. It turns out that sleep is also crucial for your brain, with a fifth of your body's circulatory blood being channeled to it as you drift off. And what goes on in your brain while you sleep is an intensely active period of restructuring that's crucial for how our memory works.
All right. What extra information were you able to get this second time, Mariana?
Okay. The part that circulatory blood, the blood circular in the body is a fifth,
Okay.
and um, and will everybody sleep, uh, the brain have intensive active period of restructuring, and this is crucial for our memories.
Perfect. There you go. And also one word that you were using, remember, instead of, for example, canalized, right, it's better if you say channeled, right? So all these channels, right, are being channeled. And it's going to help working with the things that you mentioned very well after it, right? Because when you sleep, right, when you're sleeping, everything is kind of restructuring over there. And that's very, very important for also the, let's say, memory, right? So if we want to work our memories in a very good way, we should study, we should practice, and we should take a nap or go to sleep because that's going to help, right? Memorizing those things in a better way. Because of time, we're going to be finishing here, Mariana. I don't know if you have any final questions or comments about this topic.
I'm not teacher, it's all clear.
Okay, that's good. I hope that perhaps you've seen some interesting words. If you have any questions about any of those, you can let me know. But that's going to be everything for today. I hope I can see you tomorrow for let's say, the next class. All right, Mariana, and that's going to be it. Thank you for being here. I hope you have a good night.
Okay, teacher, thank you. Have a good night. See you tomorrow.
Thank you. See you tomorrow. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Good evening, teacher.
Hello, Gaston. Good evening. Let's begin the conversation. We have these 11 minutes. En esos minutos que tenemos, vamos a comenzar con la conversación, Gaston. We're going to watch a video that is about sleep, un video sobre dormir. So my question, I have two questions here, Gaston. How many hours do you sleep at night, Gaston?
Um, Usually I sleep 7 hours, and sometimes I sleep 8 hours.
Okay, that's good. That's more or less the number of hours that everybody says that it's okay, right? Is there a situation in which you drink coffee to stay awake, Gaston?
Can you repeat, teacher? Sorry.
Yes. Do you drink coffee when you want to stay awake, when you don't want to sleep?
No, I drink coffee usually only for the breakfast, but no for this reason.
Okay, that's good. What is your favorite beverage, Gaston? Beverage, it could be coffee, tea, I don't know, right? Chocolate. What's your favorite beverage, Gaston?
Um, I usually drink coffee or juice for a fruit.
Okay, yes, fruit juice, right? Any fruit perhaps over there? Perfect, Gaston. So of course, coffee is not bad, right? But it can be bad when people drink it to stay awake, right? When they don't want to sleep and when they sleep few hours. Today's video is about that, Gaston. It says the benefits of a good night's sleep. Let's watch this video. This time we're going to watch with the captions. I'm going to play it for 30, 40 seconds and we're going to talk about it. All right? So let's
Right.
play.
It's 4 a.m., and the big test is in 8 hours, followed by a piano recital. You've been studying and playing for days, but you still don't feel ready for either. So what can you do? Well, you can drink another cup of coffee and spend the next few hours cramming and practicing. But believe it or not, you might be better off closing the books, putting away the music, and going to sleep. Sleep.
Okay, that's the introduction, Gaston. What do you understand about this introduction? Try to tell me your own words, please.
Okay. The people sometimes study a lot or practice for something, but they don't sleep the um, I don't know how to say suficientes horas.
They don't live, you can say they don't sleep enough, all right? Or they don't sleep the hours they need, all right? Two options, Gaston. They don't
Okay.
sleep enough. I'm writing enough in the chat, all right? Enough is like suficiente. They don't sleep enough, or they don't sleep the hours they need. All right, one of those two, please, Gaston.
Okay. Um, but is more important sleep the 8 hours for
Okay,
doing a better test.
okay, exactly, right? This is a situation in which this person, right, has been practicing for many days, right? This person has been studying and has been playing for days because he or she has like a test and also a recital, right? So he needs to practice and he needs to study. But at the end, they have one question, right? Is it better to what? To drink another cup of coffee to stay awake, right? Stay awake. I'm writing in the chat is like don't sleep, right? And sorry, and stay awake. It's in the chat right now. Or is it better to go to sleep? And as you said very well, right? Perhaps the best thing is going to sleep. right? Closing the books, putting away the music, and going to sleep. Let's continue watching the video.
Closing the books, putting away the music, and going to sleep. Sleep occupies nearly a third of our lives, but many of us give surprisingly little attention and care to it. This neglect is often the result of a major misunderstanding. Sleep isn't lost time, or just a way to rest when all our important work is done. Instead, it's a critical function, during which your body balances and regulates its vital systems, affecting respiration and regulating everything from circulation to growth and immune response. That's great, but you can worry about all those things after this test, right? Well, not so fast. It turns out that sleep is also crucial for your brain, with a fifth of your body's circulatory blood being channeled to it as you drift off. And what goes on in your brain while you sleep is an intensely active period of restructuring that's crucial for how our memory works.
All right, until that part, what were you able to understand, Gaston, and what can you tell me about sleeping?
Okay, is better if you sleep more than you um, drink coffee for stay awake, because in your test you have a better attention, because your brain have a lot of circulation of blood, uh,
Okay,
um, and your heart and your I don't know, I don't remember the other uh,
I'm going to try to look for it, but it's okay. Continue, please, Gaston. It's okay. We're going to look for it.
okay, it's better to the body when we sleep more, because we are more concentrated and have a lot of attention for the,
Okay,
yes.
perfect, Gaston. There you go. So you can use also this word, Gaston, right? Regulate. Like sleeping helps, right? Regulating everything in the body, right? And it's important to have regulation. So when you sleep, you regulate everything in your body from the circulation of blood, right? Remember, Gaston, instead of blood, it's going to be blood, the
Mhm.
circulation of blood, and also many other things related to the brain, right? Many other things related to the brain, right? It says that it turns out, it means it results, all right? It turns out that sleep is also crucial for your brain. So it also helps regulating the brain. And we're going to go over here, right? What happens when you're sleeping is that your neurons, right, are restructuring. You're creating links, right? And your memory is functioning, or your memory is going to function in a better way, right?
Okay.
Do you have any questions about these things that we covered so far, Gaston?
No, no, teacher.
Okay,
That,
let's see a little bit more to finish today's conversation, all right?
all right.
Let's go from this part.
For how our memory works. At first glance, our ability to remember things doesn't seem very impressive at all. 19th century psychologist Hermann Ebbinghaus demonstrated that we normally forget 40% of new material within the first 20 minutes, a phenomenon known as the forgetting curve. But this loss can be prevented through memory consolidation, the process by which information is moved from our fleeting short-term memory to our more durable long-term memory.
Okay, this part I think is really interesting because we're talking about a little bit about history, but in terms of understanding memory. What can you tell me about this little part, Gaston?
Okay, teacher. First, the vocabulary was very hard, but
Okay,
I understand uh, when we have some hours of sleep, we for even hour when we don't sleep, we don't remember a thing.
Okay, perfect.
Um,
Very good.
yes, this is all of I understand.
It's great. Now we're going to analyze this together before you leave, okay? So that you can understand everything. So here we have this part,
Works. At first glance, our
right?
ability to
When you say something like this, Gaston, at first glance is like saying como a un primer vistazo, all right? Like at the first glance,
it's crucial
over
for how
here,
our memory works. At first glance, our
all right? So un primer vistazo, at the first glance,
ability to remember things
right? This is something I think you understood, right? Our ability to remember things doesn't seem very impressive at all, right? Nuestra habilidad de recordar cosas no parece muy impresionante.
doesn't seem very impressive at all. 19th century psychologist
Here we're talking about a little bit about history, right? We're talking about psychologists, el psicólogo Ehrman, right? From the 19th century. ¿Qué es lo que va a proponer o qué es lo que dice?
Hermann
Let's
Ebbinghaus
listen to it.
demonstrated that we normally forget
This is important, right? He ha demostrado that we normally forget, ¿no? Normalmente olvidamos 40% of new material, 40% del material aprendido,
40% of new material within the first
within the first 20 minutes, en los primeros 20 minutos, all right? So that's very, very like impressive, no es muy impresionante, in a negative way.
20 minutes, a phenomenon known as the forgetting curve.
All right, and how do you call that phenomena? ¿Cómo llamamos ese fenómeno de olvidar en los 20 minutos primeros? The forgetting curve, right? La curva del olvido.
But this loss can be prevented through memory.
All right, and they are saying that this can be prevented, no? Esta pérdida, okay? Loss is like the noun of lose. Lose es el verbo, loss es el sustantivo. This loss, esta pérdida, can be prevented through memory consolidation, ¿no? A través de la consolidación de la memoria. And how? ¿Y cómo? Vamos a ver.
Memory consolidation, the process by which information is moved from our fleeting short-term.
All right, and the consolidation works like this. Trata de mover la memoria que tenemos, o toda la información acumulada en la memoria a corto plazo, right? Our fleeting short-term memory, and move it to the durable long-term memory, ¿no? Y moverla a la memoria a largo plazo. Entonces, más o menos está diciendo que es posible evitar eso, ¿no? Haciendo este proceso. ¿Y qué ayuda a este proceso? Dormir, right? When you sleep, you consolidate your memory. Tú consolidas tu memoria by going to sleep, ¿no? Yendo a dormir. That's more or less the idea over there, Gaston. Do you have any final questions to finish today's conversations?
No, teacher.
Okay, that's perfect. I hope that you've learned some words or that this was helpful for you, Gaston. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you tomorrow for the next class, okay?
Okay, teacher. Thank you so much. See you tomorrow.
You're welcome. Bye-bye. See you tomorrow. Hello, Marcelo. Are you there?
Yes, teacher. Good evening.
Hello, good evening. How's everything going for you, Marcelo? Is everything okay?
Yes, teacher. Everything's okay. Thanks.
Okay, that's perfect, Marcelo. Look, today we have a topic related to sleeping. And to begin with this topic, I have two short questions for you, Marcelo. The first one is, how many hours, all right, do you usually sleep at night? And the second question, if you drink like any kind of beverage when you want to stay awake. Let's answer those questions, please, Marcelo.
Okay, teacher. Could you please repeat the second question? My internet is unstable.
Of course. Yes, in the second question is when you don't want to sleep, right? When you want to stay awake, do you drink any kind of beverages like coffee, for example? That was the second question.
Okay. Okay, teacher. Answering the first question, I usually sleep 7 hours per day, I guess, and I think that this is great. Sometimes I I get asleep in the morning late. Is it
Mhm.
correct? Uh, and that's and the second question. Um, I think that if I want to uh, 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 wake, if I don't want to sleep,
Mhm.
I I decided to don't sleep. My my um my body doesn't don't sorry my body don't need some soda or a kind of mm,
You can say
flowers,
drink and any. Oh, okay. One more time. A kind of what? Sorry.
a kind of flowers.
Okay.
And I think that I don't need. I decided to don't sleep, and this is that I can resist.
Okay, okay, that's really interesting, Marcelo. I'm going to go now in the first part. You were saying, right, you usually sleep 10 hours. That's more or less, right, what you usually do. But sometimes you mentioned something at the end. Can you repeat that, please? What sometimes happen when you sleep? Do you sleep a little bit more, or what was your last idea in the first part, Marcelo?
Uh, about the second question, teacher.
No, about the first question, you said, right? I usually sleep 10 hours, right? But sometimes you said something like, but sometimes
Uh,
something happens.
okay. I decided to sleep in morning late en las tardes.
Okay, yes, in the it will be like in the afternoon, right? Or in the
Yes.
afternoons. Okay, yes, you can say sometimes I take a nap because you can consider that as a nap, right? I take a nap or I take a rest in the afternoons. Okay, okay, very well. And in the second part, remember that to use that expression, you're going to say to stay awake, right? So you can say, if I want to stay awake, all right, if I
Oh,
want to stay awake, it's enough for me to want to do it, right? You don't need perhaps any beverages or anything like that. When you don't want to sleep, you don't sleep, right?
okay, teacher.
Okay, good. Now, how important is for you this, Marcelo? How important is it sleeping for you? And do you believe it's important for everybody and for our bodies?
Yes, I think that sleep is a good idea to mm, uh, to get uh, how can I say recargar, teacher?
You can say refill, all right?
Okay.
Refill or
Mm,
recharge. One of these, recharge
okay.
or refill. There you go.
Okay.
It's in the chat message.
Okay. You can recharge or refill energy. And I think that is the thing. If you sleep the hours that your body needs, you will work on the day. You will work a lot.
Okay, okay, yes. Your idea over there, and I think that's what everybody has, right? And you're right, is that we do lots of activities throughout the day, and we need like to recover that energy, right? So sleeping is a good way for recovering, right, or recharging or charging that energy to start again the next day, right? Okay, let's now listen and watch this video, Marcelo. It's going to be without captions. The first 30, 40 seconds, try to tell me what's the introduction about, but this is about sleeping. Let's listen and watch it, please.
It's 4 a.m., and the big test is in 8 hours, followed by a piano recital. You've been studying and playing for days, but you still don't feel ready for either. So what can you do? Well, you can drink another cup of coffee and spend the next few hours cramming and practicing. But believe it or not, you might be better off closing the books, putting away the music, and going to sleep.
All right, so that's the introduction, Marcelo. What do you understand about this first part, the first 30 seconds?
Okay, it talks about a person that studied a lot, and his test is in hours, but he don't feel ready for the test,
Okay,
and that's
exactly. And at the end, they ask a question, right? This person has not only a test, but this person also has, we're going to turn on the subtitles, a recital, right? So a test and a recital. I don't know where is it, the word over here, here, right? So a big test and a piano recital. And they are asking, right, what is the best thing to do? Is it a good idea to first drink another cup of coffee and keep studying and practicing, or going to sleep? What is the one that the narrator chooses, Marcelo?
uh, take a nap,
Yeah,
going to sleep.
there you go. Exactly. Perfect, right? Going to sleep is the option that it says. The best thing to do is to, right, close off, or sorry, close the books, put away the music, and going to sleep, right? Let's keep listening, please.
Occupies nearly a third of our lives, but many of us give surprisingly little attention and care to it. This neglect is often the result of a major misunderstanding. Sleep isn't lost time, or just a way to rest when all our important work is done. Instead, it's a critical function during which your body balances and regulates its vital systems, affecting respiration and regulating everything from circulation to growth and immune response. That's great, but you can worry about all those things after this test, right? Well, not so fast. It turns out that sleep is also crucial for your brain, with a fifth of your body's circulatory blood being channeled to it as you drift off. And what goes on in your brain while you sleep is an intensely active period of restructuring that's crucial for how our memory works.
All right, until that part. What can you tell me about this next part, Marcel, about the sleeping and some benefits or some other facts?
Okay, he's talks about the benefits benefits
Oh, it's okay. The
of
benefits, the benefits.
benefits of sleep, and he said that uh, your body after sleep, you hear your respiration
Uh-huh.
and other parts of your body works a lot, uh, and if you don't sleep, if you take another cup of of coffee, your mind, your your mind, cerebro,
Oh, you no, your brain, your brain.
your brain will not work correctly, and it, I don't understand the last part of the break.
Good. No, but you have the most important part, Marcelo. You have the main idea there. We're going to watch it again, this time with captions to understand everything. Look.
Done. Instead, it's a critical function during which your body balances and regulates its vital.
So sleeping is very important because when you sleep, your body balances and regulates its vital systems. All right. So respiration, circulatory system, right? You have also something related to your brain, your immune system, right? So everything is regulated when you sleep. That's very powerful,
Systems, affecting respiration and regulating everything from
right? Affecting respiration and also regulating everything from circulation and, or sorry, to growth and immune system or immune response. So it helps to everything, right? When you sleep, your body is like new again. Everything gets restructured.
Regulation to growth and immune response. That's great, but you can worry about all those things after this test, right? Well, not so fast. It turns out that sleep is also
And also this, right? It turns out means it results. It results or it turns out that the sleep is not only good for those things, but also for the brain.
crucial for your brain, with a fifth of your body's circulatory.
This is important, right? One fifth is like saying un quinto. One fifth or your body's circulatory blood, okay, is in your brain.
Blood being channeled to it as you drift off. And what goes on in your brain while you sleep is an intensely active period.
And this is important to understand, Marcelo. When you sleep, you have a period of restructuring, right? It means that your brain is creating like connections. That's why you're going to be able to remember some information, right? Because your brain is creating some connections and restructuring everything. That's why sleeping is very important.
Of restructuring that's crucial for how our memory works.
All right. And we're going to watch one last part here, a very short part, to finish today's conversation. It's about memory, and it's going to be with the captions.
At first glance, our ability to remember things doesn't seem very impressive at all. 19th century psychologist Hermann Ebbinghaus demonstrated that we normally forget 40% of new material within the first 20 minutes, a phenomenon known as the forgetting curve. But this loss can be prevented through memory consolidation, the process by which information is moved from our fleeting short-term memory to our more durable long-term memory. This consolidation occurs with the help of a major part of the brain, known as the hippocampus.
All right. And until that part, what else can you tell me about this last part, Marcelo?
Okay, scientific prove that if you uh, when you study the first 20 minutes, usually your brain forget.
Very.
Mm, and if you sleep, I don't know, if you sleep
Uh-huh.
or your review, you uh, you can consolidate that information in your brain.
Okay, there you go. That's it. Here, they are not mentioning the sleep yet, but yes, at the end of this explanation, Marcelo, they say that you can prevent, right, forgetting because sometimes in the first 20 minutes, right, you can forget how much? 40%, right? That's a lot. So everything you learned can be lost, at least 40%. But you said it very well. You need to consolidate this information. And how do you consolidate this information? By this is important, okay? By short-term memory, all right, the information you have there, to the long-term memory. And one way of doing that is what you mentioned, Marcelo. When you sleep, the information that you have in your short memory storage is going to go to your long memory storage. It means that you're going to be able to consolidate that information and remember it, right? Do you have any final questions or comments about this topic over here, Marcelo?
No, only that it is an Instagram video. I
That's
will.
great. Perfect, Marcel. Try to take a look. I know that sometimes I don't do it, but if you ask me, I can do it every time. I'm sending, just in case that you're interested in watching the rest of the video, I'm sending the link. It's in the chat. Try to watch it entirely, Marcelo, because I think there's very interesting, okay, information after the minute that we watched, and you can learn many new information about it. All right?
All right, teacher. Thanks.
Perfect. Thank you, Marcelo. I hope you have a great night, and I'll see you tomorrow for the next class.
See you tomorrow, teacher.
Bye bye. See you tomorrow. Hello, good evening, Lourdes. Are you there?
Hi, teacher. Yes, I'm here.
That's great. How are you? Is everything okay?
Yes, everything is fine.
That's good, Lourdes. Are you ready for this conversation? It's going to be about sleeping, all right? So,
Okay, yes, I'm ready.
good. Let's take a look at this. First, I have some questions for you, Lourdes. How many hours do you usually sleep at night? And the second question is, do you drink any kind of beverage when you want to stay awake? Let's answer those questions, please.
I think that maybe I sleep um 6 or 8 hours. In weekends, maybe uh, a few more hours,
Mhm.
but it's also that time. And I don't really drink anything for um keep me awake.
Okay, okay, that's good. And why? Why don't you drink any beverages or anything when you want to stay awake, Lourdes? What's the reason for you?
I don't know. I think that I am not have that costume.
Oh, yes, yes, that costume. All right. Okay, good.
um,
What else,
I
Lourdes?
I I prefer just wake up um for the maybe the a cool water, or even with the uh, with the air. But
Okay.
I don't know. I don't used to drink something.
Okay, good. And it's great. Yes, you can use that expression, right? You're not used to or you're not accustomed to drinking anything, right, for staying awake. I think that's great. Sometimes people get used to doing it, right? And they drink coffee every time they need to stay awake, or at least for a few more hours. And I think that's negative for our bodies, right? And something that you said is very interesting. Sometimes you need to stay awake, but what you do is, for example, I don't know, right? Washing your face with cold water and try to wake up, right? And stay awake for a few more hours for doing the things you need to do. That's really interesting. Now, this is the last question before going to this video. Lourdes, why do you think sleeping is important for human beings? And how important do you think it is?
I think that it's very important because it gives you some energy for the rest of the day. For example, have when I am sleepy,
Mhm.
I think I feel that I don't do uh, the things that I have to do on the day very well, like I supposed to do.
Okay.
I think that in that point, it's very important have a good rest for our body.
All right, that's really interesting, right? Because you're saying when you are kind of tired, you don't do the things right in a good way, let's say, right? You don't have the energy and you make mistakes. And of course, it's not going to be like you're going to have the same performance as if you were like just awakened, right? From a rest or from a nap. That's good. Now let's check and let's watch this video. It's about that. It says the benefits of a good night's sleep. And we're going to see what happens right when you sleep or when you don't sleep in a very short and brief way. Let's take a look at this, please. Lourdes, the first 30 seconds, and we're going to have a short conversation.
It's 4 a.m., and the big test is in 8 hours, followed by a piano recital. You've been studying and playing for days, but you still don't feel ready for either. So what can you do? Well, you can drink another cup of coffee and spend the next few hours cramming and practicing. But believe it or not, you might be better off closing the books, putting away the music, and going to sleep.
Okay, what can you tell me about this introduction? What is the narrator talking about, Lourdes?
Okay, it says that when it gives a short introduction, like a short story.
Mhm.
That, for example, when you, in this case, you are studying so hard for a, a piano test, you don't feel prepared to that test. So so many people could think that the best option is drink a cup of coffee and keep studying for the test. But the best option in this case, it's really close your book, stop with the practicing playing piano, and rest your mind. So
Okay.
like take a nap or something like that.
Okay, great, perfect. You made a great summary over there, Lourdes. That's right. Right, this is like a short example of a person that has two things: a big test and a piano recital. Right? Many people believe that they should like stay awake all night long so that they can have a better performance, right? But that's not what happens, right? It's important to have a sleep, right? To go to rest and to wake up like renewed, right? With all the energy that you need, and perhaps some changes in your body that are going to help you perform even better. Let's go to the next part, Lourdes. I'm going to play this again.
Sleep occupies nearly a third of our lives, but many of us give surprisingly little attention and care to it. This neglect is often the result of a major misunderstanding. Sleep isn't lost time, or just a way to rest when all our important work is done. Instead, it's a critical function, during which your body balances and regulates its vital systems, affecting respiration and regulating everything from circulation to growth and immune response. That's great, but you can worry about all those things after this test, right? Well, not so fast. It turns out that sleep is also crucial for your brain, with a fifth of your body's circulatory blood being channeled to it as you drift off. And what goes on in your brain while you sleep is an intensely active period of restructuring that's crucial for how our memory works.
All right, until that part, what extra information can you add to this, Lourdes?
Okay, it says that maybe some people could think that sleep is a waste of time, but it isn't, because when you sleep, it helps your body regulate some uh, activities in your body, like I don't know, like the neurons, and some other activities in your brain that it will make when you wake up, it works better.
Okay, okay, yes, again, that's a very good summary of everything. You're right. We're going to go to a crucial part of this. I'm going to turn on the captions and let's see over here. This one over here. Okay, right? So let's play it from this part. You got it everything well, but let's try to get those important details about what parts of the body, right, and how it helps.
Done. Instead, it's a critical function, during which your body balances.
This is important, right? This is something you mentioned. So we sleep because our body needs to get balanced, right? And it needs to regulate the vital systems. We know that we have many systems, right? We have the respiratory system. We have also the circulation of blood in our body. We have the immune system. We have many systems that need to be regulated by sleeping.
And regulates its vital systems, affecting respiration and regulating everything from circulation to growth and immune response.
Right? So everything is summarized over there.
That's great, but you can worry about all those things after this test, right? Well, not so fast. It turns out that sleep is also
Also this, right? And I think you also mentioned it's not very important, not only for the entire body, but also for the brain, right? Of course, the brain is part of the body, but we're talking about systems, respiratory, immune, the blood circulation, and so on. But also the brain is affected in a very positive way by sleeping.
crucial for your brain, with a fifth of your body's circulatory blood being channeled to it as you drift off. And what goes on in your brain while you sleep is an intensely active period of restructuring that's crucial for how our memory.
And this is, I think, the most important part here, right? It's important because when you sleep, your memory is going to be like improved. You're going to be able to remember in some things. And let's watch the following like 15 or 20 seconds. Please do this right now. It's about this memory, and you're going to tell me how sleeping can affect or help this, let's say, way of working with memory, way of keeping information in our brain. So let's watch it.
Works. At first glance, our ability to remember things doesn't seem very impressive at all. 19th century psychologist Hermann Ebbinghaus demonstrated that we normally forget 40% of new material within the first 20 minutes, a phenomenon known as the forgetting curve. But this loss can be prevented through memory consolidation, the process by which information is moved from our fleeting short-term memory to our more durable long-term memory. This consolidation occurs with the help of a major part of the brain, known as the hippocampus. Its role in long-term memory formation
All right, until that part, I'm going to try to go a little bit like here because it mentions here.
Such as the facts and concepts you need to remember for that test, rather than procedural memory, such as the finger movements you need to master for that recital. Milner's findings, along with work by Eric Kandel in the 90s, have given us our current model of how this consolidation process works. Sensory data is initially transcribed and temporarily recorded in the neurons as short-term memory.
All right, I'm going to go a little bit further to go to this part, and you're going to tell me.
So why do we remember some things and not others? Well, there are a few ways to influence the extent and effectiveness of memory retention. For example, memories that are formed in times of heightened feeling or even stress will be better recorded due to the hippocampus's link with emotion. But one of the major factors contributing to memory consolidation is, you guessed it, a good night's sleep.
All right, and until that part, please, let's try to summarize. I want part by part, but what can you tell me about memory and the way we consolidate memory and how sleep, right, affect or help this? Let's do it, please, Lourdes.
Okay, it says that the human brain for forgets the 40% of our memories in the
Okay.
first 20 minutes. So it says that we can't we can't prevent
Good.
that loss of memory by sleeping, and even with some activities like it says something related with the motion that
Mhm.
I understand that maybe when we do something related with emotion, it's more easily is easier to remember and keep it in the longer memory, because it says that we can uh, pass our short memory to
Mhm.
the long memory, and that is the goal. So it at the final is something related that with um, memories we related with feelings or they're frustrated are
Okay.
easier to remember too. It mentioned the sleep it helps to remember better the things that we do or learn.
Okay, okay. Again, I think you were able to summarize everything, Lourdes. We're going to be finishing here, but a quick summary again from my part. You're right, right? When we learn something, the information that we have there, it's going to be lost at least 40% if we don't work on the consolidation, right? And there are ways of working on consolidation of memory. How to bring the information that we have in the short-term memory to the long-term memory, right? One way of consolidating information is when we learn right in a situation in which our emotions or feelings are involved, right? Because when you have that involved, you learn better and you consolidate that information. But a different way of doing that is when you sleep, right? But because when you sleep, everything is restructured and you consolidate that important information from the short term memory to the long one, right? And that's basically it. Do you have any final questions or comments to finish this up, Lourdes?
No, teacher, everything is fine.
That's great. Thank you for being in today's conversation, Lourdes. I'll see you then directly on Thursday, right, for the next one.
Yes, teacher.
All
Thank
right.
you.
You're very welcome. See you, Lourdes. Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye bye. Hello, good evening, Andrea. How are you?
Good evening, teacher. Thanks, fine. And you?
That's great. I'm fine, thanks. Let's begin with today's conversation, Andrea. It's going to be about sleeping. And first, as I did it with your partners, I have a couple of questions for you, Andrea. The first question is this one. How many hours do you usually sleep at night, Andrea?
I usually sleep 7 hours a day, but it depends of my job because some days I have hospital shifts and it can change my hours of rest,
Okay,
uh,
okay.
but 7 or 6 hours.
All right. So you usually sleep that, let's say that number of hours, but according to your job, right? Because you work at a hospital, and we know that sometimes working at a hospital can have many variations in terms of hours, right? In terms of the schedule. Okay. Now this is my second question, and perhaps it's going to be something that you do when you have to stay awake, Andrea, right? Sometimes you have to stay awake. You don't have to sleep because you have to work, because you have to complete anything. What do you do? Do you drink something? Do you do an activity? What do you do when you want to stay awake, Andrea?
Yes, I drink uh, sometimes 2 cups of coffee and maybe take I take a time of a walk and take a, how can I say, respiro.
Ah, yes, you can say take a breath. All
Or
right, take
take
a
a
breath.
breath.
Okay, okay, that's good. Now we're going to watch this video that is related to, as you can see, the title, the benefits of a good night's sleep, right? Because we know that sleeping is a very good thing for our bodies, right? So we need to understand how it helps us, right? And we need to see what are the benefits of it. So let's watch it and let's listen into it. I'm going to stop and we're going to be having conversation about this.
It's 4 a.m., and the big test is in 8 hours, followed by a piano recital. You've been studying and playing for days, but you still don't feel ready for either. So what can you do? Well, you can drink another cup of coffee and spend the next few hours cramming and practicing. But believe it or not, you might be better off closing the books, putting away the music, and going to sleep.
Okay, what can you tell me about this introduction that this narrating or right narrator sorry is doing? What important things can you like say about this?
Uh, First, that it's 4 a.m. and that person have an important test in 8 hours and maybe a presentation of piano
Good. Uh-huh. Great.
and and um, uh, that person have two options maybe to continue studying and practicing or playing the
Hmm.
piano or close the books and go to sleep. Mm.
Exactly. And what is the option that the narrator says is the best option?
Yeah, the best option is to close the books and go to sleep.
Exactly. Right? This person, yes, and remember when you say this person instead of have, you need to say has, right? But you were right.
Okay.
Very
Yeah.
good. Yes, this is a person that has a big test and a piano recital, right? Presentation, recital, and he is or she is not sure, right, that he or she is ready for this. So he needs to make a big decision. And of course, the narrator is saying You shouldn't stay awake by drinking some coffee, right? The best thing to do is to sleep. And let's see why. Let's keep going. Do you have any questions about this first part, Andrea?
No, no, teacher.
Okay, let's keep going.
Sleep occupies nearly a third of our lives, but many of us give surprisingly little attention and care to it. This neglect is often the result of a major misunderstanding. Sleep isn't lost time, or just a way to rest when all our important work is done. Instead, it's a critical function during which your body balances and regulates its vital systems, affecting respiration and regulating everything from circulation to growth and immune response. That's great, but you can worry about all those things after this test, right? Well, not so fast. It turns out that sleep is also crucial for your brain, with a fifth of your body's circulatory blood being channeled to it as you drift off. And what goes on in your brain while you sleep is an intensely active period of restructuring that's crucial for how our memory works.
All right, until that part, what else can you tell me about this video and what extra information were you able to understand, Andrea?
Okay, teacher. This part is very difficult to understand, but
Yeah,
I will try.
okay.
I think that it's important for our health to sleep. Uh, Also, sleep can help our uh, respiration and
Mhm.
uh, the uh, the function of our brain, maybe.
Okay, okay, good, good. You're doing great. All right, the main thing is there. Is there anything else, Andrea?
No, teacher.
Okay, no, it's good. You have the main part, all right? So don't worry, don't believe that you didn't get like most of the part. The main idea is there. And look, a good way of practicing listening is what we're going to do now. Now we're going to listen to it again, and we're going to listen by part, all right? So
Important work is done. Instead, it's a critical function.
first, we need to know that sleeping, it's not only one thing that we have to do just because, right? Sleeping it's important because it's a critical function, right? It's a critical function. It's not a waste of time. Many people think, and this is something that happens in this modern era, right? Scientifics, for example, or many people that dedicate too much to reading or learning. It's good that they do this, but sometimes they believe that sleeping is a waste of time, which is not true. Sleeping is very important, and if you don't sleep, you can lose, right, many things, and your body, your brain, yourself, right, is going to be like affected by this. So it's a critical function. Important.
During which your body
This is the second part, and here you also have very important words. You sleep because your body needs to balance and regulate its vital systems, right? And you know, as you work at hospitals, right, you are very related to this, Andrea. You know that we have many systems, right? You have the respiratory system, you have the immune system, you have some things related to the blood circulation, and you have also other things related to neurons, right? And you have many things going on there. So when you sleep, your body balances and regulates its vital systems. That's very important.
balances and regulates its vital systems, affecting respiration and regulating everything
That's
from
what we mentioned, right?
circulation to growth and immune response. That's great, but you can worry about all those things after this test, right? Well, not so fast. It turns out that sleep is also crucial for your
That's
brain,
also
with a
important,
fifth
right? It's not only important for those things that we mentioned, but it turns out that sleep is good for what? For our brains, right? And let's see in which way.
sleep is also crucial for your brain, with a fifth of your body's circulatory blood being channeled.
First, because they said that one fifth, right, of the circulatory blood goes to our brain and it's being channeled there, right? As you live, right, in a daily basis.
To it as you drift off. And what goes on in your brain while you sleep is an intensely active
And
period
this is
of
also important, right? When you sleep, there's a period of restructuration, right? Everything is being restructured. It means that your memory is going to be affected in a very positive way because when you sleep, some connections are going to be created. Everything is going to be restructured, and perhaps you're going to be able to remember better than when you don't sleep.
restructuring that's crucial for how our
Right? And
memory
that was the
works.
last part. I don't know if now it was a little bit clearer, Andrea, or if you have any questions about this part.
Yes, teacher. I have one question. What is the meaning of a fifth? A fifth?
Oh, was that in the first part, Andrea? Can you tell me where was it? I don't
At,
understand very well that word.
at the middle, maybe, teacher. And
Can you tell me a little bit the context of that word, please? Andrea, do you remember what was the part next to it?
uh, for that part, maybe, teacher.
Okay, so this.
For the explanation of the brain.
Okay, before the explanation of the brain. So it must be in this part.
Oh,
Here.
I read. I
This
read,
one, right?
but teacher. Yes.
All right, it's this one, right? A fifth, un quinto, right? So a fifth of your body's circulatory blood goes to your brain. All right,
Oh,
you get it with this, right?
yes, teacher.
Okay, there you go. So I think, well, we have one more minute and we're going to watch only one part that is very short. Try to understand this, and this is about memory, Andrea. Very short.
How our memory works. At first glance, our ability to remember things doesn't seem very impressive at all. 19th century psychologist Hermann Ebbinghaus demonstrated that we normally forget 40% of new material within the first 20 minutes, a phenomenon known as the forgetting curve. But this loss can be prevented through memory consolidation, the process by which information is moved from our fleeting short-term memory to our more durable long-term
right.
memory.
What can you tell me about this last part, Andrea? This time we have the captions and everything. How can you explain this?
Teacher, if what is the meaning of fleeting? Fleeting?
Fleeting is like the opposite of durable. All right? Something fleeting is something that is going to disappear, right? Because you know that short-term memory is only like temporary, right? So you can take that as temporary. And durable is going to be the opposite of fleeting in this case. Okay?
Oh, okay, teacher. I, that part explains that it's important sleep for our memory because the psychology made an studio
A study, good, a study.
study that 40% of the things that we read can forget in 20 minutes.
Okay, good.
Um,
And what do we need to do, Andrea? What do we need to do if we want to prevent that?
sleep more hours.
Exactly. Here they don't say that we need to sleep, but it's like indirect, right? They say, and let's watch that part again over here to finish this. Here.
Within the first 20 minutes, a phenomenon known as
right?
the forgetting
That's
curve.
called the forgetting curve.
But this loss
Here.
can be prevented.
We can prevent this loss, right, through memory consolidation. It means that we need to work with memory consolidation. And what is memory consolidation?
Through memory consolidation, the process by which information is moved from our
Memory
fleeting.
consolidation is the process, right, to get information from the short-term memory to the long-term memory. All right. Fleeting, as you were asking, is related to quick, to something that very disappears very fast. Okay. And of course, indirectly, what is a good thing to work with this? Let's go to this word, to work with this consolidation is sleeping, right? When you sleep, your memory is going to be consolidated and you're going to prevent having these 20 minutes forget, right? That curve over there. Do you have any questions about this last part, Andrea, or any comments that you can tell me?
No, teacher, but also the sleep more uh, also can help us with our behavior. And
Okay.
in my experience, yes, uh, um, a part of our is important of our health, but is important only also
Uh-huh.
with our behavior, and uh, it can affect our relationship.
Okay. Okay. So it has many more benefits, right? And I'm sure that you know all of those benefits and in detail. And sometimes people, right, go to the doctor sometimes because they have some problems with sleeping, right? Because when someone cannot sleep, right, for example, having this insomnia, it's going to be a thing that affects the entire body, right, and everything in that person's life. Is that correct?
Yes, teacher.
Okay, so it's very important to do it. And what can you recommend to finish this, Andrea? What is a good thing for those people who cannot sleep, who have problems with sleeping?
Also, they have to take
Okay,
prioridades,
good priorities. Priorities.
and also if the reason that they can sleep is work a lot, they have to think in uh, their self,
Okay, yes,
also
themselves.
their
Okay,
uh, their health, and um, yeah, that's teacher they have.
okay. Perhaps sometimes they need to change, right, the job or look for something different or try at least to balance their lives, right? Because not everything is working. Perhaps they need to find some other activities to help them relax a little bit, right? And have that feeling so that they can sleep, right?
Yes, yes, teacher.
Okay, so let's finish up here, Andrea. Thank you very much for everything, for your comments, for being here. I hope you have a great night, and I'll see you tomorrow for the next conversations or for the next class.
Okay, teacher, thank you so much. See you tomorrow.
See you. Bye bye, Andrea.
Bye, teacher.
Hello, good evening, Abel. How are you?
Good evening, teacher. I'm fine.
That that's great, Abel. Are you ready for today's conversation?
Yes, teacher, I'm ready.
Okay, good. So today we're going to be talking about sleeping, all right, and the benefits of sleeping. And to begin with, as I did with all your partners, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. The first one is the following. How many hours a day, all right, of course at night, do you usually sleep a day?
Well, I usually sleep 6 hours. Yes.
All right, 6 hours a day. When you want to stay awake, Abel, because you need to work, because you need to do something important, or I don't know, because of any reasons, what do you do when you need to stay awake, Abel? Do you drink something? Do you do an activity? Do you take a shower? What do you do?
Well, I go, I, I, I go run every morning after wake up. Yes.
Okay, okay, that's the activity but Abel, when you wake up, right? The following
Yes.
morning. It means that you sleep and when you wake up, you run. I think that's great, right? That's very, very good. But at night, when you don't have to sleep, Abel, because you have for example something very important and you need to stay awake, you cannot sleep. What do you do when you don't want to sleep or when you want something important to do at night, late
Um.
night?
Okay. Um. Well. In usually no usually 2 times a week. I develop or learn something language of program, or
Okay,
I watch some TED talks or tech talks. Yes.
okay. TED Talks, okay, it's good. TED Talks, all right.
Yes.
So, and when you do that, you stay a night late, right?
Yes. Uh,
Okay,
yes. Yes.
all right. And to do that, you only watch that and you stay awake, or you drink something like coffee, for example, Abel.
No. I don't like drink coffee, and sometimes I drink only water.
Okay, okay. I think that's good. I think you work in a very healthy way, right? Doing that, avoiding coffee or running in the mornings. I think you are working and living that in a very healthy way. Now, in this video, Abel, we're going to see what are some benefits of sleeping and why it's so important in certain situations, contrary to some people think. So let's begin by the introduction. 30 seconds, and you're going to tell me everything that you understood, please. So let's begin.
It's 4 a.m., and the big test is in 8 hours, followed by a piano recital. You've been studying and playing for days, but you still don't feel ready for either. So what can you do? Well, you can drink another cup of coffee and spend the next few hours cramming and practicing. But believe it or not, you might be better off closing the books, putting away the music, and going to sleep. Sleep.
Okay, that's the introduction. What can you tell me about this introduction about? What are you able to understand here?
Well, I understand that mm, there are people that mm, that study for exam or
Hmm.
practice to play some instrument.
Good.
Then while they are doing that, they drink a cup of coffee.
Okay.
Then after, usually. they go to sleep.
All right. And I think what you're mentioning is correct. But in the last part, let's try to clarify that. Here, you're saying that very well. Look, I'm going to put captions. This is a situation of a person, right, that has a big test and also a piano recital, right? That's the situation. This is a person that has a big test in 8 hours, followed by a piano recital. So you have options, right? Well, first it says, right, this person has been studying and playing for days, but again, this person doesn't feel ready for the test and doesn't feel ready for the recital. So the narrator tells two options here, Abel. The first option is to drink another, right, cup of coffee to keep studying, right, and to keep practicing. It's 4 a.m. So what the narrator, the first option of the narrator is not to sleep. But the second option is to do what? And it says over here, going to sleep. Do you remember which option the narrator chooses as the best option, Adele? Keep studying, drink another cup of coffee, or going to sleep? What is the best option for this student?
Um, I think going to sleep.
Okay, exactly, right? According to the narrator and according to this video, you might be better off, right, closing the books, putting away the music, and going to sleep. So the narrator is saying that it's going to be better for you to do that because if you don't, there are going to be some consequences. So let's try to learn those what those consequences are. And again, Abel, you're going to try to explain me some of those, perhaps not consequences, but the benefits of sleep. So let's go there.
Going to sleep. Sleep occupies nearly a third of our lives, but many of us give surprisingly little attention and care to it. This neglect is often the result of a major misunderstanding. Sleep isn't lost time, or just a way to rest when all our important work is done. Instead, it's a critical function during which your body balances and regulates its vital systems, affecting respiration and regulating everything from circulation to growth and immune response. That's great, but you can worry about all those things after this test, right? Well, not so fast. It turns out that sleep is also crucial for your brain, with a fifth of your body's circulatory blood being channeled to it as you drift off. And what goes on in your brain while you sleep is an intensely active period of restructuring that's crucial for how our memory works.
All right, until that part, what extra information can you give me about this part of the video?
Um, sleeping is important because um, um, eh, it helps to our organism, uh,
Mhm.
a specific circulation of blood, uh,
Oh, okay, blood, very good. The
blood.
circulation of blood, very
Then,
good.
then um, our it the circulation of blood help uh, our brain. Uh, this is important because if we have an exam, we need to be concentrate. Then if we don't sleep well, we can retain all all knowledge that
Okay.
we studied.
All right, all right. I think you did a great job, Abel. That is correct. Everything that you mentioned is very accurate. We're going to go part by part, not every detail, but yes, what you mentioned is correct. First, we can say that over here, here, sleeping is very important, as you said. Why? Because it helps the body, right, balance and regulate its vital systems. right? You have, for example, the respiratory system, you have the immune system, you have also something related to what you mentioned very well, Abel, blood circulation, right? And so on and so forth. But also, right, and here it says, right, everything from circulation to growth, to growth and immune system. But also something remember to what? To the brain, as you also mentioned, Abel. And why? Because one fifth, all right, of our body's circulatory blood goes to the brain. That's why it's important. That's why it affects the brain. And when we sleep, something happens. We have an intense period of restructuring, right? What do we have in the brain? And that's going to affect in a very positive way what? Memory, as you mentioned again a bit, right? Because you have new connections, everything is being like consolidated, and you're like keeping and retaining the information, right? Or as you mentioned, the knowledge that you obtained during, right, your study time before sleeping. Do you have any specific questions about this part of the video, or any extra comments, Abed?
No, teacher, no.
Okay, we have one more part that is very short. This is going to be about memory. Let's try to pay attention and let's try to say what's the percentage that we can lose if we don't prevent that by doing a certain action of it. So let's listen to this.
Okay.
How our memory works. At first glance, our ability to remember things doesn't seem very impressive at all. 19th century psychologist Hermann Ebbinghaus demonstrated that we normally forget 40% of new material within the first 20 minutes, a phenomenon known as the forgetting curve. But this loss can be prevented through memory consolidation, the process by which information is moved from our fleeting short-term memory to our more durable long-term memory.
All right, only that part. What do you understand or what do you get from this part, Ade?
Well, if if uh, if we doesn't sleep, we can remember many things or some knowledge. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
i- then we if we I don't know how do you say suficiente.
Uh, enough. You can
Ah,
say
yes,
enough.
yes, enough, yes. If we can sleep enough, we only remember 40%, and then we 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 don't we can't we don't able to uh, mm, have long-term memory storage.
Okay, all right. There is only one little thing that needs to be different, Abel. Most of your information is correct, but let's analyze this very quickly before finishing this conversation. This one first. You were right, right? Memory, of course, when you don't sleep, your memory is affected. You're not going to remember things. But let's see how this works. And actually, to understand this, we need to go to the study of Hermann Wright Ebbinghaus from the 19th century. He was a psychologist. And what's the result of that study? This is important to understand, Abel, because this is something different than what you said, only in terms of the
Mm,
percentage. It's demonstrated that we normally forget, okay, this is normal. We
okay.
normally forget 40% of new material within the first 20 minutes, and that's a lot, right? That's a lot. It means that after studying and doing those things, we are going to forget 40% of it within the first 20 minutes. That's something that happens to everybody, but it can be prevented. How, right? Well, first, you know that phenomenon, right, as the forgetting curve, right? So the retention of the memory is going to be affected, right, by the period of time. And we have this. This loss is the noun of lose, right? Lose is a verb. Lost is the past participle. Loss is the noun. This loss can be prevented through, right, or by doing this memory consolidation. And what's memory consolidation? Is the, let's say, the procedure in which you bring the information from the short-term memory to the long-term memory. And a good way of consolidating the memory is doing what? Sleeping, right? Sleeping is a very good thing that we can do to consolidate memory. It means bringing again information from the short-term memory to the long-term one. And I think that's kind of it. I don't know if you have any questions about this last part of it.
Yes, teacher. The meaning of fleeting.
Oh yes, fleeting over there, it's the opposite of durable. Okay, it's
Okay.
short, it's quick, something that is temporary, something that you're going to forget very quickly. Okay, quick and short of it. Any other questions or comments?
No, teacher. All's clear.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much for being part of this conversation, Abel. I hope you have a good night, and I'll see you tomorrow for the next class. All right?
Okay, teacher. See you tomorrow. Good night.
See you tomorrow. Bye bye. Hello, Jasmine, are you there?
Yes, teacher, good evening.
Hello, good evening. Good. Let's begin the conversation, Jasmine. Today we're going to watch a video as we've been doing with your partners. I'm going to be stopping by part, and Jasmine, try to do what you can to explain everything that you understood from that video. All right?
Okay.
Good. So let's begin. This video is about sleeping, Jasmine. So first I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. How many hours a day do you sleep, Jasmine?
Um, Maybe 10 hours.
Okay, okay, 10 hours a day. What do you do when you don't want to sleep, when you want to stay awake? Maybe because you have an important practice to finish, maybe because you have something important to do, or I don't know, you're in a party, right? What do you do when you don't want to sleep or when you have to stay awake, Jasmine? Do you drink something? What do you do?
I like to go to the party.
Okay, okay. So one thing to do, right, perhaps in a party, is when you are dancing, when you are drinking, you don't sleep, right? And you don't want to sleep over there. But let's say this different example, Jasmine. When you have an important exam and you need to stay awake, right? You don't have to sleep because you have a very important exam the next day. What do you do to stay awake, Jasmine? What do you do to stay awake, right? Stay awake is not sleeping. What do you do to
Mm,
that?
uh, Teacher, I can study in the night.
Okay, you cannot or you can
Yes,
study. You
can
cannot.
cannot. Yes,
Okay, you can study. Why? Because you fall asleep, or what's the reason?
because next day I'm very tired, so I can
Okay,
and no
okay,
puedo.
okay. So sorry, that's something that you don't do, right? You can't. It's okay. And let's say that you have to do it. What would you do, Jasmine? Would you drink coffee? Have you ever drank coffee for staying awake, for not to sleep?
Oh, yes.
And does it work for you, Jasmine? Does drinking coffee work for you?
Mm, mm, eh, how can I say que el café no me ayuda? Igual puedo dormir.
Ah, yes, you can say the coffee doesn't help me, right? The coffee doesn't help me. I sleep anyway. When you say anyway, it means de todas maneras. Ya es como decir, duermo de todas maneras. The coffee doesn't help me. I sleep anyway. All right. Let's try to repeat that, Jasmine.
Uh, the coffee doesn't help me.
Mhm.
I can sleep anyway.
Anyway, exactly. Anyway significa como de todas maneras, ¿no? No importa que tome el café, igual me duermo. All right, good. I think it happens the same to me. So let's check this video, Jasmine. The video is about sleeping and how important sleeping is. So let's watch it and let's listen to it, please. I'm going to be asking you some questions, Jasmine.
It's 4 a.m., and the big test is in 8 hours, followed by a piano recital. You've been studying and playing for days, but you still don't feel ready for either. So what can you do? Well, you can drink another cup of coffee and spend the next few hours cramming and practicing. But believe it or not, you might be better off closing the books, putting away the music, and going to sleep.
Okay, we stop here. What can you tell me about this first part, Jasmine?
Mm, uh, the coffee help uh, help me. Nos ayuda. Help,
Help us, you can say. Us,
help
right?
us
Is nosotros.
uh,
Help us.
or to no sleep.
Okay. We're going to analyze if that's the main purpose. Vamos a ver el propósito principal del video. We talk about coffee, hemos mencionado el café, but here the main idea is sleeping. Pero acá la principal idea va a ser dormir. Mira, vamos a analizar parte por parte contigo. Ahí tienes los captions, ¿no? Los subtítulos. It's 4 a.m. Es una situación hipotética. Son las 4 de la mañana. And the big test is in 8 hours. Y hay un gran examen en 8 horas. Pero además, followed by a piano recital, que es seguido de un recital de piano, ¿no? O sea, tienes muchas cosas que hacer mañana, Jasmine. ¿Y qué es lo que dice? You've been studying and playing for days. Tú has estado estudiando y tocando por días, right? But you still don't feel ready for either. Either significa para ninguno. Quiere decir, tú has estado estudiando y practicando por días, pero tú aún no te sientes listo para ninguno. Entonces, el narrador te va a dar dos opciones aquí, Jasmine. So what can you do? ¿No? Así que, ¿qué puedes hacer? What can you do? The first option. El primer día, perdón, la primera opción. Well, you can drink another cup of coffee. Bien, puedes tomar otra taza de café, right? And spend, it means y pasar. And spend the next few hours cramming and practicing. Y pasar las siguientes horas, ¿no? Estudiando y practicando. Esa es una opción. Pero mira lo que te dice después el narrador. Y esa es la parte más importante. But believe it or not, pero lo creas o no, believe it or not, ¿cuál es la mejor opción? No es tomar el café. You might be better off closing the books, putting away the music. Tú puedes estar mucho mejor cerrando los libros, poniendo a un lado la música, and going to sleep, y yendo a dormir. Entonces aquí lo que te está diciendo, la principal idea de acá, Jasmine, te está diciendo que, aunque parezca tentador y la mejor opción, seguir estudiando y seguir practicando, la mejor opción es ir a dormir. Y es justamente por las opciones y por los beneficios que esto va a tener. So, let's get playing. Vamos a ir reproduciendo paso a paso y vamos a tratar de ir entendiendo la idea de este video, Jasmine. So, let's listen. Escuchemos, continuemos.
Sleep occupies nearly a third of our lives, but many of us give surprisingly little attention and care to it. This neglect is often the result of a major misunderstanding. Sleep isn't lost time, or just a way to rest when all our important work is done. Instead, it's a critical function during which your body balances and regulates its.
This part is important. So, what is one thing that you do when you sleep, Jasmine? How can you answer using this information? What is one thing that you do, Jasmine, when you sleep. What does your body do when you sleep, Jasmine?
Ah, ¿cómo se pone? ¿Qué hace mi cuerpo?
Exactly, when you sleep. The answer is over there. What does your body do when you sleep?
No sé, I don't know.
It's over here. If you read in the screen, Jasmine, it says it balances
Balance.
and regulates its vital systems, right? Es como decir, tu cuerpo balancea, ¿no? Equilibra y regula sus sistemas vitales, ¿no? Entonces la respuesta está acá. Vamos a seguir viendo. Te voy a hacer preguntas que justamente van a tener como respuesta en los subtítulos.
Vital systems, affecting respiration and regulating everything from circulation to growth and immune response. That's great, but you can worry about all those things after this test, right? Well, not so fast. It turns out that sleep is
Okay, so this is the second question, Jasmine, and it's also there. The answer is there. Let's say, it says, right? Let's read what we have there. It turns out that sleep is also crucial for your brain. So, what is also crucial here, Jasmine? What is also crucial when you sleep, and for what?
Ah,
When you sleep, what is beneficial, or what part of your body is like receiving benefits when you sleep, Jasmine?
my brain. Brain.
Yes, exactly, correct, right? Your brain, and also all the systems that we mentioned before, right? You have respiration, right? It affects respiration. You have circulation, right, of blood, circulación de sangre. You have your immune response, tu respuesta inmunológica, right? All of those things are let's say affected positively, ¿no? Son afectadas positivamente cuando ¿qué? Cuando dormimos, ¿no? Entonces aquí, contrariamente a que te diga que tomemos café para no dormir, te está diciendo lo contrario, que dormir es muy importante porque tiene todos estos beneficios, right? And we have a different idea here. And that's crucial, right, for how our memory works. Y eso es vital para cómo nuestra memoria work, no solamente funciona, trabaja, también puede ser funciona,
Ah,
¿no? Para
okay.
cómo nuestra memoria funciona, right? Work es también funcionar. Estamos aprendiendo aquí vocabulario que tenemos que tener en cuenta. And here, let's try to understand this part. Aquí hay un estudio sobre la memoria, Jasmine, para ganar un poco más de vocabulario. Let's listen.
psychologist Hermann Ebbinghaus demonstrated that we normally forget 40% of new material within the first 20 minutes.
Okay, that part. I'm going to play it again. Voy a reproducir nuevamente esa parte.
19th century psychologist Hermann Ebbinghaus demonstrated that we normally forget 40% of new material within the first 20 minutes.
Now, if I ask you this, Jasmine, what happens with the new material that we learn in the first 20 minutes, Jasmine? What? Tell me, Jasmine.
We forget.
Yes, exactly. What happens in the first 20 minutes, and this is according to this psychologist,
Hermann Ebbinghaus demonstrated that we normally
exactly. We normally forget 40% of new material, right? We forget 40% of new material.
forget 40% of new material within the first 20 minutes.
Right? Within significa en los primeros 20 minutos. And that's a lot, right? Eso es bastante, pero se puede prevenir. Y esa va a ser mi siguiente pregunta, Jasmine. Escuchando lo siguiente vas a tener la respuesta, todavía no la tienes. How can we prevent that loss? Loss significa pérdida, all right? How can we prevent that loss, Jasmine? Y la respuesta viene a continuación.
Minutes, a phenomenon known as the forgetting curve. But this loss can be prevented through memory consolidation.
All right. One more time. The answer is over there.
But this loss can be prevented through memory consolidation. The process.
All right. So how can we prevent memory loss or that loss, Jasmine?
Era, no entendí, no puedo pronunciarlo bien. Era memory console, no sé qué.
Ah, está muy bien. Trata de pronunciar esa segunda palabra. Está yendo bien.
Memory consolidation o algo
Good.
así.
Está bien. Está perfecto. No temas pronunciar eso, Jasmine, porque estoy seguro que estás escuchando muy bien. Esa es la palabra. Estaba súper bien, Jasmine. Consolidation. Memory consolidation. ¿Ok? Perfecto. Esa es la manera en que tú puedes prevenir olvidarte de ese 40%, Jasmine. ¿Y qué es memory consolidation? Te voy a explicar eso rápido, ya estamos sobre la hora. Es lo siguiente. Is the process by which, es el proceso por el cual the information is moved, la información es movida de qué lugar a qué lugar, from our fleeting short memory, all right, short-term memory, de nuestro rápido o fugaz, ¿ya? Memoria de corto plazo, to our more durable long-term memory, a nuestro más durable memoria de largo plazo. ¿Y qué ayuda a ese proceso de consolidación? Sleep, ¿ya? When you sleep, cuando dormimos, you work this way, in this memory consolidation. Ocurre justamente esta consolidación de la memoria, en la cual evitas olvidarte de cosas, ya que cuando tú estudias algo y luego te vas a dormir, es mucho más probable que el día siguiente puedas recordar de mejor manera, a que cuando te amaneces estudiando y no duermes nada. Right? So that's something very important to know. We're going to finish here, Jasmine. Vamos a terminar acá. El objetivo de estas conversaciones es justamente ver vocabulario y poco a poco que vayas trabajando, ahorita estamos viendo con subtítulos, pero poco a poco la idea es ir dejando esos subtítulos y quedarnos con solamente lo que escuchamos. Do you have any questions or doubts, Jasmine, before finishing?
No, teacher.
Okay, perfect. So we'll finish here. Let's remember something. Para terminar, concluyamos con esto entonces, Jasmine, recordándote que esta es la semana de la tercera unidad. Hasta el día viernes a medianoche tenemos para terminar esta tercera unidad. Y como siempre, ese mismo viernes se hace la asignación de lo que es la nueva evaluación, el nuevo quiz, que va a ser todo el fin de semana hasta el día lunes. Pero tomemos todo eso en cuenta entonces, Jasmine. That's going to be it. Thank you for being here, and I hope you have a great night, Jasmine. And I hope I see you tomorrow. Okay?
I see you tomorrow, teacher.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.